Hello all, welcome to the first session of the Fundamentals of Math series. In this series, we are going to talk about some fundamentals like dealing with decimals, dealing with fractions, what is cross multiplication and how do we leverage it. Now these are very important concepts and they actually form the core foundation of overall math, no matter whether you're doing algebra or geometry or advanced math or something else, right? So it's very important for us to not only understand them very clearly, but also to be able to apply them effectively in different situations with confidence. So let's get started with decimals. So let's get started with decimals, right? Addition and subtraction of decimals is pretty straightforward, so we're not going to spend a lot of time there. Essentially what you have to do is you will have to align the two numbers vertically such that the decimals are one below the other, right? Once you do that, you just add the two numbers like the way you would do. Now let's go on to the multiplication side, right? So let's say we have a question wherein we have to multiply 0.25 times 0.03, right? The way to deal with the multiplication of decimals is that we can look that in terms of two steps. The first step is to hide the decimal for a moment and just multiply the numbers the way they are. When we do that, it becomes like 25 times 3. 25 times 3 is 75. So we get 75. And then we put the decimal back into the system and count the number of places to the right of the decimals. Here we have 2 places to the right of the decimal, and here also we have 2 places in this question to the right of the decimal. So total we have 4 places. We have to ensure that in our answer also there are 4 places to the right of decimal. So we start from 5 and we start counting. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we put 2 zeros here and we put our decimal here. Again, we count the number of places to the right of decimal, the total places, which is 4 in this case, 2 coming from here and 2 coming from here. So we have to ensure that we have 4 places to the right of the decimal in our answer as well. And of course you can put a 0 also here. Let's see question 2. It's similar, right? Minus 0.015 times 0.4. For a moment, we will hide these decimals and multiply the numbers the way they are, like minus 15 times 4, which is minus 60, right? Now we put the decimals back into the system and we count the number of places. We have 1 place here and we have 3 places coming from here. So again, we have a total of 4 places to the right of decimal. So we have to ensure that in our answer also we have 4 places to the right of decimal. So we start counting from here. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we put 2 zeros here and then we put our decimal. Again, we have to ensure that our answer has 4 places to the right of decimal because we had a total of 4 places here. Let's now move on to the division of decimals, right? So let's say we have to divide 0.75 by 0.3, right? The way we do is that in the first step, we multiply the numerator and denominator by such a multiple of 10 so that we can get rid of the decimal. What I mean by saying that is, let's say if we multiply the numerator by 100 and the denominator by 100, we will get 75 divided by 30, right? So in the first step, we have transformed the given question in such a way that there are no decimals, right? And we know how to deal with something like this. We can simplify it, so 5 times 6 and 5 times 15, and we can still do it further, so it will be 3 times 2 and 3 times 5, right? So the answer of 0.75 divided by 0.3 would be 5 divided by 2 or 2.5, right? Again, just to reiterate, whenever we are dealing with the division of decimals, our first step is to convert that fraction such that there are no decimals, and once we are at that stage, we kind of simplify that fraction to whatever maximum length possible and then get our answer here. Let's take another example. Okay, let's say we have to divide 0.2 divided by 0.12, right? In the first step, we have to multiply this whole fraction by such a multiple of 10 so that there are no decimals, right? So we need to understand what is that multiple of 10. Let's say if we multiply this fraction by 10 on the numerator and denominator, what happens? So 0.2 times 10 and 0.12 times 10. 0.2 times 10 is 2, because whenever we multiply a decimal with 10 or multiples of 10, the decimals moves to the right by the number of zeros, right? So here we have 1 0, so this decimal will move to the right by one place. Essentially it will become 2. So we are able to convert the numerator from 0.2 to 2. So there is no decimal here. But let's see what happens on the denominator. The denominator becomes only 1.2, because 0.12 times 10, the decimal will move only by one place, leaving it to 1.2. So when we multiply this fraction, the numerator and denominator, by 10, it helps us to solve the case for the numerator because there is no decimal here. But our intention was not to have the decimal even for the denominator. So it means that we have to multiply the denominator by a higher multiple of 10, let's say by 100. If we are multiplying the denominator by 100, we have to multiply the numerator also by 100. In which case it will become 0.2 times 100 is 20 and 0.12 times 100 is 12. This solves our purpose because our intention was to remove the decimals. So by multiplying this fraction on numerator and denominator by 100, we are able to achieve our aim. There are no decimals here, and then we know how to solve it, how to simplify it. In this case, we can simplify it like this. So essentially the answer of 0.2 divided by 0.12 would be 5/3. Let's take another example quickly, right? So 100.01 divided by 10.001, right? Our first step is to get rid of the decimal. Now we see that there are 3 places to the right of the decimal here in the denominator, and there are only 2 places for the numerator. But since we have to get rid of the decimals from both numerator and denominator, we will have to multiply each one of them by 1000, right? Because we need 3 zeros to get rid of the decimal. So we are going to multiply both numerator and denominator by 1000, which gives us 1, 2, 3. So there is no decimal on the denominator, and on the numerator we get 10010, right? Because we will move this decimal to the right by 3 places. 1, 2, and 3. We'll put a 0 there. Now we have reduced our given fraction in such a form that there is no decimal, and we can just simplify it. This is nothing but 10,001 times 10 divided by 10,001. 10,001 and 10,001 gets cancelled out, so the answer is 10. Again, just to quickly reiterate, this was our question. We multiplied numerator and denominator by 1000 because we needed 3 zeros to get rid of the decimals, both for the denominator as well as for the numerator. Once we are here, we kind of factored the numerator as 10,001 times 10 because we are seeing 10,001 in the denominator, so we can cancel them, leaving it only 10. Hopefully you guys got a good understanding about what are decimals, how do we deal with decimals, especially the multiplication and division, more importantly, because that's the place where students get confused most of the times. If you like the video, please do like and subscribe. See you in the next session.